Jeff Malott. Welcome to the Podcast Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the Podcast Nation. Podcast Nation. Hey. Welcome to the Podcast Nation. Welcome to the Podcast Nation. Welcome to the Podcast Nation, where we talk about fishing and competition. It's your boy Ox Pippin, aka Ox Fishing. Don't come over here tripping. Hey, hope you enjoy the show. Jeff Malott, Lunch Money Lambert, Lego. Hey, welcome to the Podcast Nation. Podcast Nation. Yeah, welcome to the Podcast Nation. Podcast Nation. Hey, welcome to the Podcast Nation. Welcome to the Podcast Nation. Welcome to the Podcast Nation.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to KBN Live. I'm Jeff Malott. We have my partner Ryan Lambert over there on the road again. How you doing, Ryan?
On the road. I'm good, buddy. I'm good. Busy.
How'd you like that intro music, man?
Man, I like it. DJ's been hard at work for us, slaving away. I like it. He's putting down the hot tracks.
Yeah, man. He surprised us with that one.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was cool. I appreciate him doing that. And yeah, awesome stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Dwayne's in the comments already saying he liked that. So good stuff.
And thank y'all. Tell him about the revision. Yeah.
It was the initial version had Jeff Malott, which that's fine. I've been called Jeff Malott since I was like, I don't know, 5. So I was good to roll with it, but he was good enough to go ahead and change it up for us. So DJ, you the man. Appreciate you, DJ. That's right. We got that hustle and flow.
I like it.
And we got a good amount of people on here already, which is cool for 6 o'clock. We had to make a last minute change to make it work out schedule wise. So thank y'all for jumping on here this early. Help us out for folks that didn't know we were going early, and give us a little share to an area that you think they might want to hear this information. I don't know, local group or whatever, maybe to your page if you're feeling froggy. We're going to go over a few things before we get started with our special guest. We've got John from Fishing Chaos here. It's going to be an interesting discussion. I know there's been some stuff on KBN. You know, we've had a few threads talking about it, so that'll be fun. But before we get into that, talk about a few things. What about a shout out to Mr. Conrad Benetti, a.k.a. Cornbread Spaghetti, getting a big victory down in Florida this week?
Hey, and I got the V-neck on in honor of Conrad. Good job. We all give him a little back and forth on the live tournament aspect, and he posted during the tournament he had some fish questioned or DQ'd or something about hand placement, and I said, yeah, live tournaments are hard. And of course Conrad made a t-shirt with a quote on it that he posted the other day. So yeah, there's a new lucky shirt out there.
So the man stepped out, won him a live event. Next up, across the Florida border, come up and fish with some of the other folks, right?
Oh yeah.
So we'll see. Something else I want to talk about, which is really it's something we've been talking about the last few times, and that's no news on the bass schedule. Think we'll get that before January 1st, Ryan? It's not looking good.
No,
Christmas is coming.
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know really. I have no idea, but I haven't heard too much about it.
Theirs isn't out. I think I saw a graphic for KBF, that an official graphic, possibly. I don't know if it was official or unofficial, with the 2 back-to-back one-day trail events coming out. So that's out. I know BOS has been official for a long time. There's been a few regional tournaments announced with All-American Series and a few others. So curious to see where that comes down. Todd Batrick says no. I think I agree with you. And then the only other thing I want to touch on, man, before we get going, is last year we had a lot of fun with the award show at the end of the year. Kind of laughed and had a good time with that. So we're going to drop that survey. Hopefully I'll drop that tonight, maybe tomorrow, some of those questions on it. So we can have some fun with that survey and do our end of the year show. Oh, I don't know, probably after Christmas, right before the first of the year. And that'll be fun.
Yeah.
And we got one big announcement What do you think, Ryan? You want to drop that announcement right here and now for our first ever sponsor for Kayak Bass Nation podcast?
Sponsor? What?
That's right. We've got a sponsor.
Someone supports us?
Someone supports it. The ink is barely dry on the contract, but we'll have graphics and the whole deal by next cast, I bet. But I'm going to go ahead and drop the announcement right up here and share the screen. Boom. Western Sun.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Western Sun.
That's gonna be a welcome addition to my liver.
That's right, man. Western Sun out of Texas. I know they support Texas already with the kayak scene down there. We were lucky to get in contact with them. And boom, Western Sun is on board supporting us. We're going to have a lot of fun with those guys. We've had some great conversations with them. And, they've got a good product. I got a cabinet full of it already, so I can't wait to
seriously, huge shout out to Duke for hooking that up. He's had that relationship in place for a while, and they've been big supporters of the kayak fishing community, and they've really stepped up, and I think you're going to see more and more of that kind of thing happening. Hopefully, as all of us keep working a little bit harder, we can pull in some of these outside influences here and get things rolling. I like it. Appreciate it, Western Sun. Promise we'll use it a lot and make you proud.
Clifton Allen said North Texas Kayak Fishing owns KBN. Maybe a small part now since they are partners with you guys. No. But Western Sun, man, that's awesome stuff. We're excited about it. And like I said, more info to come on that. We're going to have fun with that. Let me see here. Agreed. All right. Appreciate the support, guys. I'm getting some funny comments in the deal already. But with that said, what about bringing in our guests, man? I think everybody's here not to listen to us talk about Western Sun. They want to hear about
Let's do it.
Fishing Chaos tonight. So with that said, let's bring in John.
John. Chaotic. Let's go.
Hey, guys.
Caligaz. Did I say that right?
You got it right, man.
All right, man. John with Fishing Chaos. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Appreciate you having me on.
So tell us, let's cut down to it, John. How long have you been involved in running tournaments and stuff? Like, obviously this just came on our radar, a couple months ago, but you've been at this for a while. This isn't some, brand new thing you just cooked up overnight, right?
Right. Yeah. We have been running tournaments for over 4 years now. We really cut our teeth on the physical tournaments, the main weigh-ins where, you're bringing fish in, and whether it be bass or offshore, inshore, not typically, catch, photo, release. We've always had that capability. The majority of our high school teams and collegiate teams used it internally for kind of, qualifiers internally so that they can get their traveling team. So we've run some of the largest tournaments on the saltwater side. Our first tournament had over 4,000 anglers, had 31 species, 86 ticket types with about, I think, 136 leaderboards. So we've been doing tournaments for a very long time.
So what?
I like it. And go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, you've been doing tournaments for a while. Has it been mostly on the salt side, as opposed?
I would say the majority of our early tournaments. We picked up some college teams and high school teams that were mainly bass, and even those were still physical weigh-ins. I mean, we just did a pretty large tournament, about 300 anglers on Lake Martin Saturday. We've obviously done bigger ones on the bass side and smaller ones. I mean, that's the beauty of our software, is it really doesn't matter if it's 5,000 anglers or 2. I mean, we've had charter boats. We also, that's not all we do. We also have some fishing guide management services, and we've had charter captains that have tournaments between each other, just for the hell of it.
All right.
So running, obviously you have the ability to take payments and kind of run, business through your site as well. How do you see that? Do you go through PayPal? Like, we've heard this is going to speed up payouts and whatnot. Can you give us the insight as to, kind of the business aspect of the way that you're at work? Are you guys managing the money when you take it in? Like, how does that play out that it's really going to benefit the angler on the back end?
Yeah, so we have multiple different payment strategies. I think that's some of the confusion. One of the things that we do not want to be is having a lot of cost in administration. So we try to do as much as we can on the automated side. So currently we take payments through a processor called Stripe, which is the same one that like Uber and Lyft and all them use. And what it does, it allows us to, have a piece of it go to us if there is a piece for us. If there's not, then the rest of it goes to the tournament account. And we actually have a couple of different things in the works with the club side that doesn't necessarily have to go directly to a bank account. It can stay, in app. Payouts can be used for it. It can be used for entry fees. So there's a lot of capabilities that we have that, going straight PayPal, we sort of lose. I'm not saying we would ever not go that route, but with that route, you have more, admin fees associated with it, because typically it's, as a tournament director, you put in your PayPal account. As the tournament angler, you put in their PayPal account, and then you have to do billing after the fact, which is just, a waste of time and adds cost to it. So we try to streamline that process.
So one of the biggest complaints over the years with a couple of tournament management systems was that associated cost getting eaten up in the middle. So it sounds like you guys have workaround for that. Yeah.
So like, for instance, our cost is based on ticket price, obviously with a max. I mean, we have some tournaments that are $50,000 entry fees. I mean, some of those offshore, Marlin tournaments, they're, we don't take a percentage of that. We have a max for it. But typically in just your standard tournament, we take a percentage. The posted cost is 3.5% plus $1.50. And if you are a paid subscriber, then you don't pay anything. And that paid subscription is a Fishing Chaos paid subscription, which is either $3.99 a month, or you pay for 11 months and you get one free. You pay annually. So if the tournament decides they want to pass our fees to the angler, then it's right there in front of you. You see it. If you're a subscriber, you also see how much you save. So like on a $40 ticket fee, I think our fee is like $2.90. If you pass it to the angler, then you would be paying $42.90. If you're a subscriber, you're paying $40, and then the tournament gets $40 minus the 2.9% 30 cents credit card fee, which is the same type of fee that PayPal uses. And we don't touch it. We don't have to be involved. There's no administrative fee after the fact. It shows up in your account, 1 to 2 days later. You see that it's in there, but it's just like your bank, pending transactions, things like that. So your ticket is your entry fee.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, go ahead, Ryan.
And we're used to paying, the $5 or whatever it is, per entry. But tell us the benefits of being a subscriber and what comes with that, other than every tournament you sign up for, you're not paying that extra. Extra.
So right now, we also have a deal with Fish USA. We have deals with some other companies that are giving our subscribers different features. One of the ones with Fish USA is a $20 coupon that'll go to you. We have some fees or some discounts with some of the bump board manufacturers to give you 20% off. We also store your entire catch. So your public profile, if you are a subscriber, sort of breaks out everything about your catch, not specifically an individual catch, but your catch aggregation. So if you're fishing only tournaments, you're only going to see your tournament catches there. If you're not a subscriber, you just see the tournaments that you fished in. Same goes with the clubs. We show you which clubs you're a member, or we show, the public profile, which clubs you're a member of. We also show your featured fish. All that you get for free. But then if you want very specific details, a paid member is required. And so if you're a paid member for the tournament, you not only see the tournament side, you also see exactly where you placed, and then an instant link directly back to it. So if somebody just wants to, see what you've done in the past, maybe they're looking at sponsoring you, they can have one place where they can go and then go not only see, a first place finish is great, but if it's first out of 5 people, not that impressive. But they can actually go directly to the tournament and see that you're first out of 300. Then it means something. So we allow that to be very easy for people to see that.
Well, I've got a couple questions for you from the crowd and a couple that I had written down as well. And number one, and you may or may not be aware of this, but Clifton Allen asked, is this app connected directly or in any way financially partnered with KBF? In the kayak fishing, and the reason I ask that is in the kayak fishing world, there's about I hate to call it 50-50, but there is definitely a stigma that goes with KBF that some folks completely can't stand them. Some people love them like it's the only kayak fishing platform that exists, and that's fine. So some of these guys want to know, is Fishing Chaos in any sort of financial partnership with them?
Not at all. They are a customer. We sort of, so the way that we started with CPR is mainly with big brands. When COVID hit, Auburn University, which we were talking about earlier, their bass team has like 90 members, and their seniors were not going to be able to fish any more tournaments. So we've always run their, in-house tournaments like we were talking about. They came to us and said, listen, why don't we just make one of these nationwide? And so they made an Instagram post, and I want to say in less than a day, so probably a Friday night, they had 22 unique states with 44 unique schools all entered. And I was like, maybe this, is something. Then we did a tournament with Salt Life. They did one. And then that was nationwide. And then we did one with the Discovery Channel, and that was nationwide. And we started seeing that, there was definitely something to this, and our system was handling it fine. I mean, it's actually a little bit easier because everything is sort of spread out, as opposed to like the main large tournaments when you're weighing one fish every 15 seconds on 8 different scales with 15 different iPads all going at the same time with crappy internet service that, is typically in the area of where you're fishing. So, so we showed ourselves to the public in that manner. And I know that KBF was looking for, a partner that can handle some large tournaments, reached out, and they're a customer. That's all it is.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So we've got a lot of questions coming off in here, and I had previously reached out to John and talked to him before we ever set up coming on the show to make sure that this was actually worth looking at in the first place and wasn't some joke, because it seems like every year we've seen a new tournament measuring system or management system. You just throw fish on the floor and we count pixels in our imagination and tell you how long so like I don't want to waste anybody's time by bringing this guy on here. Like we talked for what, an hour and a half, John? Like, I mean,
oh, yeah.
Like I tried to make sure that this was worth looking at, and Patrick Malone asked one of the questions, which is what reminded me of that. Is the GPS data private between the angler and the TD? Because we talked about this button clicking data mining stuff that's out there, and I didn't want to no,
we go multiple steps. Yeah, we go we go multiple steps past whether it's private or not. So in our configuration, we use multiple different ways on sort of where the fish was caught. Everybody's talking about EXIF data, and we will send you EXIF data, but EXIF data changes every single release. EXIF data changes by free app. You can go search App Store right now, EXIF data, EXIF viewer. You can change any picture. You don't have to have any kind of software background to do that anymore. You can change a timestamp. You can change a GPS location, whatever. So EXIF data GPS, we support it. You can see it if it's there. iOS recently, their latest update makes you now select photos that you want to have available. And sort of the screwed up part is they still make that photo available, but just not the data about it. So you're able to still submit photos without EXIF data. So we use submission GPS as well. No matter what, anytime we collect GPS, it's 100% the tournament director's choice. You can turn that on with the click of a button. Collect it, don't collect it. Anytime we collect it in red letters, when the fish are being submitted from the catch log, it says tournament directors will have your GPS location. We also have a separate configuration that is more of a fuzzy GPS. We ran a tournament for the state of Tennessee, and it was purely the fish had to be caught in Tennessee. Care less about GPS location, right? So we have we call it our heat map, where a tournament director can look at a very high level map of all the catches, and they can see, oh, this catch was in Dallas. So obviously that's going to break the rules of the tournament. And, with that, the tournament director does not necessarily have to be the one to be the judge. So in our configuration, if the tournament director is fishing, the judge can actually take away his privileges to see the GPS information. And then after the tournament, add them right back. So, that's something that we definitely take. And, all the information that tournaments are gathering during the tournament, they have full access to. They can download everything about it. We're all about, privacy. We're not selling email addresses. We're not selling GPS data. We go as far as, we actually have patent pending right now on fuzzy GPS because we do a lot with conservation. We are a CCA Alabama approved tagging platform. So all of the tagged redfish can go directly through our platform, and we can provide them data. The angler has to opt in. And all this comes from managing these physical weigh-in tournaments where we see, scientists and the conservation guys asking these people, where they caught the fish. And you'll hear, in the mouth, in the water, things like that. But if you show them a map with like a grid, they have no problem pointing to a general area. And so, that's, we're all about that. So if there's anything new, whether we create it or not, we would definitely look at that to help with that stigma of, TDs being able to see GPS locations for maybe not the tournament they're fishing, but a tournament in the same place that they're fishing.
It all sounds good to me. I know that I'll tell you this, John, and you may or may not be aware of this, that kayak anglers are sort of resistant to change a lot of times.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, they've got a lot of questions. Whenever there's a new thing that comes out, they're very hesitant. Like Ryan said, there's been a few that were complete clunkers from the jump. I told Ryan before we came on that I went and did your test tournament and created an account, did my due diligence, and it is a pretty smooth interface. And also in kayak fishing, there's a lot of loyalty involved. iAngler's been around a long time. Tourney X has obviously been around a while. Tourney X basically, I would say, built KBF almost, enabling them to do, what they've been able to do, and enabled all of us local anglers local tournament directors to really streamline our local tournaments. So there's a lot of loyalty there too. And we, have a lot of respect for Dwayne and Tourney X, and we'll continue to be a customer of theirs as well. So what can you tell the general kayak angler community that's out there watching this, why they ought to give Fishing Chaos a chance as opposed to a couple of the other ones?
Sure. Yeah. We hear it all. The biggest thing that I can say is competition's good. You guys would not have tournaments if you didn't believe in competition. There's a reason some of us drive, Chevy, some of us drive Ford, some of us, drive something else. Our software is never finished. We have, 7 full-time employees. This is our jobs. We have 6 of those guys, including myself, are developers. Everything's done in-house. We listen. If there's something PayPal's been a big one. PayPal is something that, if we need to, we will support. Absolutely. And we listen to those kind of things. We listen to the things like, hey, my fingers are wet. Let's make the keyboard bigger. Or, hey, I can't find myself in this 1,000-person tournament. We now have a find me button. Searching for anglers, being able to see who's fishing and not just a list of 300 people, on leaderboards that don't have fish. We listen to this kind of stuff. So, with respect to kayak specifically, if there are features, we'd love to hear them. And, we're the kind of guys that, will add them when they make sense. And PayPal is one of those things that's probably going to start to make sense. So it's not that, they necessarily have to change. It's that they need to give us a chance to show why we're doing certain things. I mean, the fact that you can get paid out instantly directly from the exact money that's coming in for the tournament, that's something that a lot of people don't see. The fact that you can have,
That's one of the things that I've always been confused about is like we pay for these tournaments like weeks in advance, and depending on what tournament you're fishing, you'll have the money like in your account that afternoon, or they cut a physical check, Monday, the next working day. I've never understood, depending on what medium there was, where the money goes that you pay in. Like that, to me, that has just always kind of blown my mind. Like if you give me your money, I'm gonna have it, and like until the time that I give it away to somebody else. But and I think that is a good integration point with your app,
right?
Is not having PayPal as the middleman,
right? And you also you have things where we've done tournaments where none of the money for the ticket goes to prizes. I mean, we do free tournaments all the time when it's dependent upon the sponsor. I mean, we have a tournament that's about to go live that has some pretty big names on the saltwater side, and they just, for example, let's say that they're giving you a power pole. Well, the tournament director doesn't have that power pole. The tournament director is sort of it's up to whoever offered that power pole, whoever offered the game cameras, whoever offered the prizes. So money is one thing that we can control. And if we can't control it, it's because it got taken out and used other places. So that's one of the things that, we're sort of also a mediator between the tournament directors and the anglers. I mean, we are always fishing first. We're always anglers first. There's some of these features that tournament directors are asking about, and it's going to suffer. Some of the anglers might suffer because of it. We don't just add them; we think about the anglers.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean, that change is hard. Get back to your original question. Give us a shot. If you want to run a free tournament, if any ticket is free, it's free on our side. So anybody can spin up a tournament. Since there are a lot of configurations, we run through the first one with you, set it up with you, and then you're able to duplicate that and then just run with it. If your ticket cost is $0, our fee is $0. So run with it. There's no problem with that.
Okay, that's good to hear, and a nice feature. And I love the idea of anglers first. That's what makes us fans of different tournament series and just companies.
And we all of us here are anglers. Where 3 of us are, have kayaks, but all of us fish. That's another thing. It's not that common to see software developers that also fish, especially in one area in the United States. So we all have worked together previously at a previous job, working with big Fortune 100 companies, doing development and devices and connectivity for all those guys. And so so we're listening as we also are fishing.
So Josh Booth had a question. I'm going to throw it on the screen here. Basically said instant payout could lead to an issue in CPR tournaments with challenges and disputes. I don't think you don't mean that your app instantaneously processes a payout. It just has the money available to give a payout, correct?
Absolutely. We do not. That's the exact reason why we do not listen to the tournament directors 100% of the time, because that would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Right. And like you were saying earlier, unless somebody takes the money out and does something else with it somewhere else. So they're still, like, you guys aren't the bank. You're not in control of what a person running a certain tournament series would do. So, it could still be pulled out and spent to pay off the last tournament or whatever for that matter.
Yeah.
We got some good questions coming in. You got the endorsement of Clifton Allen, so that's saying something, John. aware of Clifton, but he's here. He's here for the people, he says.
So are we.
Yeah. I got a few questions about the interface and the app in general, about some more things that it can do.
Okay.
So like I said, I got on there and tried it, but I didn't, obviously see all the features. I've heard rumblings that it's going to have the ability to track a club's AOY. Is that true?
Mm-hmm. That is, depending upon, if you have like some craziness in it, like who has the most Instagram post or something like that. If that's one of the things we do is, like I said, we listen. We've signed up quite a few clubs. The majority of them all have a very similar AOI. If that's the case, and we can, sort of map it out to multiple variables within a configuration, then yeah, we definitely can track that. Typically, it's start out with a number for first place, then there's a delta between the two, and then there's a number of paths that are rankings that go down to that number where you say, okay, first place gets 100, second place gets -2, so 98, then 96, and then once you get to spot 20, then everybody that at least fish gets 50, and then if you didn't fish or didn't submit a fish, you get 0. If it's something like that, then absolutely, we will be tracking that for you. And that's in our club module, which is different from our tournament module, but still it's more, clubs are a superset of tournaments.
What about the multi-event problem? That's been a problem for a couple different apps that's been out, is trying to submit to multiple events at the same time and having some errors. Yeah.
So like right now, if you go to a tournament that has, say, bass specifically, because we are multi-species. We have tournaments that have bass and redfish in the same one. So if you're doing one of those, then it'll even look a little different. But when you go to a tournament, you hit submit catch. Then when you are, the first thing we do is we ask you whether you want to take a photo or upload a photo. We don't care. It's up to the tournament director if they want to allow, both of those. So then we instantly go to the length. That's what you're going to type in. And then if you look down at the very bottom, below the map, there's not only other leaderboards. So these leaderboards are what your fish will qualify for inside this tournament. There's also other tournaments that you can submit to, which are by default checked. If you do not want to submit them to multiple, you uncheck them. And then when you submit them, they are one fish in your catch log that gets submitted twice. And they're two separate entries within the separate tournaments. And so they're judged separately. And they can also have different, even though y'all might not think it, we do a lot of CPR tournaments that do involve weight. So if there is a tournament that requires weight, we know that, and we'll ask you for weight as well, or count. Some of the redfish tournaments do dots. We'll ask you for that, but we're only submitting the appropriate information to each individual tournament.
I know you had a question there, Ryan. I cut you off. What you got, buddy?
I can't remember now.
So I'm assuming this thing. Go ahead, man. Yeah.
GPS data manipulation. That's one of the things that, has been brought up in the past. There's a million different apps and kind of proxy things where you can literally pick where you want your GPS data to show up. And I know that it's been done on some other tournament management apps as a test, and it wasn't caught. So what do you guys have against, to defend against something like that?
So I can tell you that we take submission GPS, which we're in control of. It's not inside of a picture, which is one of the problems with EXIF. That right now is going to be your best bet. However, you will soon see a totally different model, and that is not out. It's what we've been doing. Like I said, we've been doing a lot of looking and listening to how these CPR tournaments really run in some of the biggest issues, and that is a very big issue. I could make a lot of money on a behind the scenes of tournament fishing documentary or whatever it is. There's a lot of different things people do. So we will have we will have something where, that what you mentioned is no longer an issue, and you should see that probably in that February timeframe. So it's still standard bump boards, still ID cards, but it's going to be something totally different that, again, change Change is going to be something that we're going to have to get people used to, but there's a reason we're doing it. We're not going to rely, or we're not going to force you to do that. You're still going to be able to do submission. You're still going to be able to do EXIF. But for those of y'all that want to try to get around that, try what we're about to release. That'll sort of change your mind on being able to modify things. And we look at it from a tech side as well. So there's a lot of technology that is already in use right now that hasn't even come close to touching the fishing industry. And we're utilizing some of that in our future releases.
So something that happened to me over the weekend, I caught a fish, earlier in a tournament. I hit submit, put my phone back in my pocket, pull it out. It's still trying to submit, just running away. I don't have any service. We're up in Del Hollow. And then, later on, I pull it out, close the app, restart the app, go to submit again. Same thing, put it back in my pocket. I pull my phone back out like 2 hours later. It's dead, like all the way dead, like nothing. Does your service have anything like an offline mode or something like that where you could still tell your pictures to submit to the app, so you didn't have to worry about that part, but they haven't, if there's not service, they haven't gone across, I guess, to judge.
There's two answers to that. The first part is what you have out there in production right now, it does time out. So it should not continuously try, and that's on purpose. The previous feature I was talking about handles all that offline mode for you to where you are basically fishing without service and being able to do time, GPS, and identifier without service as well.
Cool. Ryan, do you see Jamie's question there? I didn't really quite get what he was aiming for there. He said, would this conversation be going on if Bass or Hobie wanted to use this app and not KBF? I suppose. I reckon
it's still a different app, isn't it? Would it still be a different app? Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
Of course, it would be still going on if it were a different app. Like, honestly, I think the point of bringing this guy on here to tell us the finer details of the app, me reaching out to him personally, we have a mutual friend, Brian Malone, who I met turkey hunting this past spring with the Mossy Oak guys. He told me about this months back, and he's like, I need to get you guys hooked up. He's talking about getting the CPR tournaments, and that's what piqued my interest. I didn't realize the KBF part of it till later on when I heard it, on the rest of the interweb. But I mean, that's still something, like if something, is being brought to the table in kayak fishing, I think we kind of deserve giving it a fair shake if it's legit. And that was why we had that conversation last week, is I want to make sure it is something that is legit and viable. And I really think that it is. There's another thing I want to bring up that we talked about in our conversation last week, but I think what they have in place now and the growth potential that I think can keep up with where I see the sport heading. I really, that's why they're here. It's a legit deal.
Yeah, we always try to say no topic is off limits, and we certainly don't want to be biased. Ryan and I are kind of open with our opinions, and we deserve any tournament series and or software or equipment deserves a fair shot, and we want to know about it. So we're glad to have John on here talking about this, and so far so good. I'd say it all sounds like legit stuff, and an exciting addition to kayak fishing. You
want to get Kyle's question, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm trying to get caught up on some of these. Jeff Booth asked one earlier I wanted to throw in there, which is an interesting one to me. He asked, can this app help anglers get set up as guides and earn income too? I don't know.
Absolutely.
You guys can facilitate it, but I don't think anybody can just become, say they're a guide and slap their name on Fishing Chaos, can they?
Well, I mean, like, we have multiple kayak anglers that, we manage their entire guide service. We have multiple charter businesses. We have multiple, we just signed up a charter out of Alaska last week. And so we have a full module. That's another thing. Earlier I should have mentioned it. We're a platform. Tournaments are a module within our platform. So is charter and fishing guide management. So we're not going to help you get your captain's license, but if you want to start booking online, we handle all that for you. We do not take a cut of each booking, which is unique, and we have this conversation with another group on the booking services. We're different. We are your $99 a month secretary. And so we allow you to have instant communication between you and your customers. We're your CRM for your customer, or, all of your customer list. So they sign up with us. You can instantly have your calendar live. It's a whole different module. And we've had that out for, I guess, a year and a half now. And so we have some really good guides on there. They can take deposits, they can take fees, they can have add-ons. So if you want to charge, $20 for lunch, you can split the payments, you can leave reviews. I mean, you can do, it's a full thing. So the answer is yes, we can absolutely help your guide business. And, with the kayaking guys, specifically if you're a member of our clubs, then, we'd love to give you guys a 30% off. So, so if you have kayak guides out there that want help with managing their business, as opposed to a little black book and 25 different, text messages and everything like that, then definitely we can help.
I don't think Josh needs to be asking it anyway. He's too busy. He's got his hands in too many different things already. So whose question was it, Ryan? Kyle's? Let me find it. Oh, there it is.
You go.
Do it up on the screen.
We have
the challenge feature. Yeah. What about that?
So I can tell you that we had about 85% of that challenge feature totally done. The reason is, when we were doing large tournaments as a physical weigh-in, we needed a way for, efficiency. The 4,000 or 5,000 person tournaments that I was talking about earlier that were physical, there might be a 3-day event, and the weigh station closes at 5 p.m. Well, guess what? Everybody shows up at 5 p.m. If you're in line, you get to weigh a fish. Before they were using us, they were still weighing fish at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, because it was just so many people. So after they started using us, they started becoming more and more efficient, and we were able to track a lot of that stuff. So every year they were getting better and better. Next year, we're actually probably going to have a mode called the Chick-fil-A mode, which allows, sort of that drive-through efficiency. And last
Does it say my pleasure?
It will now. Okay. But when they were still weighing fish at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and the weigh station actually closed at 5. Last year, it was the same, even with COVID, same number of people. The last fish weighed was at 5:39. So it took us 39 minutes to go through that line that typically was 2.5 hours. With the challenge series, when we were doing these large tournaments way before KBF, and we did one. It was a tournament with 180 high schools, and the tournament director was the athletic director, and that athletic director said he wanted to judge all the fish. He quickly realized that was not the case. We had 5,000 fish entered the first weekend. And that got us thinking, okay, well, how can we make this more efficient? Well, there's no reason to necessarily judge fish that are going to get culled. There's no reason to judge fish that are, or really give a deep, in-depth look at fish if they're perfect. And you're really only needing to judge the fish that have been challenged that are also ranking fish. And so what we did for the physical tournaments, how do we sped up that line, was the challenge piece of our functionality. And it was not necessarily meant for just kayakers. I mean, this school system was not kayaking. It was bank, shore, boat, whatever. And so we instantly saw that, hey, this kid that put in 1,000 entries for brim, nobody needs to look at all those. It's just wasting time. So we looked at it and said, how can we make this efficient? And it's basically crowdsourcing, not the judging, but the crowdsourcing which pictures really needed to get taken a look at. And so it's more of an efficiency thing. then what happens is, the ultimate tournament is going to be a lot of anglers, a lot of fish, a lot of entries with 0 fish judged. And that's the end goal of a challenge, because all fish are exactly correct. I sat in a seminar one time and I heard a guy say, hey, if you think you're going to get that extra 1/4 of an inch, go ahead and put it. Well, that's causing delays and, all these guys judging these fish. And if you try to get that 1/4 of an inch, somebody else is going to call you out on it, not the judge who you're paying. And so, not only are we helping those guys, judge, we're making the fishermen sort of more accountable. And what a lot of people don't know on the challenge series is if you challenge a fish correctly and a judge says yes to that challenge, you get a bonus point in the back end. What people start doing with it, don't know. You might have you might have tournaments where you have prizes for the most people, the fish that have the least challenges. You might have tournaments where the people that have the most challenged fish, they might get a job as a judge. You might start wanting to take, college kids that are good at judging. What you do with that, we don't really care. We can actually use it on a lot of different things. But on the flip side, if you're one of those guys that are just constantly challenging fish just because they're incorrect, we're also going to know that. And then you can have your little penalty box, your timeout period, or whatever it is. So we don't think of it as a bad thing. And purposely, we don't tell the angler who challenged the fish. The tournament director knows. But, we did that on purpose because, it's not meant for starting a fight or an argument. It's meant to help the anglers.
Now, is that fee for a challenge meant to, like, you get a free challenge, right? But is there a fee for a challenge as well? Is that meant to discourage, or did I read that wrong somewhere?
Yeah, so what you're probably looking at is the protest, not
protest. They're two different things. Okay.
Yeah. So and I don't necessarily know, in the CPR style tournaments, how the most common use of a protest, but in the saltwater side, once a fish is judged, then you have typically a 24-hour period to protest. If you protest, it typically costs money. And so and we have not launched the protest side in the CPR yet, so you're not going to see that. But the way it would work is if you are having a fish protested, that means a judge already looked at it, and so now you're going to go back and potentially waste a judge's time by re-looking at it. And if you think that there's something wrong, the tournament director can put, and it's going to be the same for everybody. So in that tournament, let's say it's $100. You put up $100. It doesn't come out of your account, and if it's a correct protest, it never comes out of your account. But if it is an incorrect protest, it does, and it goes to the tournament. And that's where the fee comes into play. Any angler that is fishing in a tournament can challenge somebody else. And then any subscriber, Fishing Chaos subscriber, that is not fishing in the tournament can also. So I forgot that little perk earlier when we were talking about the subscriber. What are the features? They have the ability to start challenging people outside of their tournament.
Right now, we have a really unique system set up where people will go through everybody's pictures after the tournament's over and screenshot it and post it on Kayak Bass Nation, and all hell breaks loose. That's our formal challenge that we have in place right now.
Yeah, so if we could just get an RSS feed straight from Fishing Chaos, we could cut out the middleman.
You think they would do that if it was $100 per?
Yeah.
Well, that's what that's exactly what I was about to say. From now on, anybody that's going to complain on KBN, $100. Send us $100.
Yeah.
If your complaint's valid, you're good. If not, then we're going to charge you.
That's very typical in the saltwater side. So that's again us coming from a different world that trying to solve another problem in a similar problem in a different world.
Did you see Kyle's
So
follow-up?
we're getting close to the hour. Did you see it pop up, John? He was basically
I saw a
saying
big
he's had
paragraph
fish up
pop
for a
up,
month
but I didn't
and
get
he
to read it.
Being challenged, yeah.
So let's see. I'm asking because I have a fish on the KBF trial right now that have been up for a month. None have been challenged. They're all the same fish. Not going to win, but maybe AOI. I don't think that the trial one counts against AOI. I don't know which tournament you're talking about, but I mean, we're not in charge of judging the fish. So if your fish hasn't been challenged or hasn't been judged, I mean, just send a note to them that you're probably good.
Can you please judge his fish right now? Right now, please.
I can't judge it.
So Ryan, what I got from that is a new app, but business as usual over there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything.
John's just caught in the crossfire.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Before we get off here, John, I want you to tell us about the black box that you were talking about that is currently you're using on big boats. But that to me was a very interesting deal there.
Yeah, so it goes back to where we came from. All of our guys, actually one's walking in right now. All of our guys came from the connected home world. So we built devices for Samsung. I don't know if y'all are familiar with smart things, the connected TVs, connected refrigerators, light switches, thermostats, all that kind of stuff. We did devices for Xfinity Home. We are not in charge of their customer support, but we did devices for them. We did devices for Lowe's. We did all these different huge companies. And connectivity, the key word was IoT, Internet of Things. And so that's where we came from. And so that world did not necessarily exist in the fishing community. So for the connectivity piece that you're talking about for our boats is it goes onto a typical boat, whether it be a bass boat, a center console, or a $12 million Viking sport fisher. It is by first a security system for your boat. So we actually know more than just if your boat starts, moving, like a 1990s car alarm. If you bump it, it's not going to go off. We have some features in there for the security side. It has cellular, it has Bluetooth, it has Wi-Fi. It has a short range radio to talk to sensors on the boat. It also has a long range radio to talk to other boats, which I think could be cool and what I think Ryan's talking about. We want, and anytime you submit a catch, whether it be a tournament or just a personal pre-fishing, a lot of people use us for pre-fishing. I mean, they go in there and they can submit fish just as like they're submitting fish for a tournament, and we capture everything about that fish. When you're really looking at like water temperature and barometric pressure and things like that, you're getting it from like the nearest weather station. It might not even be on the lake or the river, the water. It might be 20 miles away from you. So we take the water temperature directly from the transducer and we add it to your catch. We take the depth directly from the transducer. We add it to your catch. We take the barometric pressure directly from the boat, and we log all that kind of stuff. So that's a little bit too power intensive for a kayak, but a stripped down version of that, is absolutely something on our roadmap for the kayak world. So it would be number one, a security system for your kayak. And number two, it would be able to help log all the information, gathered from your catches directly from your kayak. And then it can also help with communication outside of cellular service. So, we have some radios on there that can transmit, to the horizon. So 7 to 11 miles, depending upon the height. For small little pieces of data. So you're not going to send video or anything like that. But we definitely can look at sending very specific information for kayaks. Now, one of the other things that we have multiple devices with cellular modules on it. So with the advent of 5G, streaming directly from your kayak could be a very near term.
Now you see where I'm going, Jay Karshman. That's what I'm talking about right there. The future, son. We're looking way out there. I think, we've said this, I think that the future of these big kayak tournaments, when we're, paying $3,000 or $4,000 to enter these things, and there's only 50 or 100 people doing it, traveling a circuit, real deal. It's going to come down to streaming. It's going to come down to You go on a website, you click your favorite angler, you get an instant feed to their boat. There's not going to be any crazy questions on what's happening tournament day. It's going to have an entertainment value, and it's also going to have a real, advertising investment piece involved in that. I think that's where all this is going. To me, that was the most exciting thing that we had in the conversation. I think we've had, it's a functional app. It's great. GPS data, all the things we're used to, the angler, the year points for clubs. That's a very cool feature that we don't have, automatically currently. But to me, that, looking long, playing long ball, that streaming, the 5G stuff, I think you could really see a big uptake in that.
I'm going to think out loud here, Ryan. I'm just imagining being able to submit a fish and then be able to link that submission back to a 5-minute video clip, live from the kayak or whatever.
Yes.
When you caught it and or took the picture, that'd be legit. Katie asked a question about the data that you talked about, John. I think you touched on it earlier. What happens to the data after an event? That's all secure, not sold.
And keep in mind, we do use it if, we're working with a conservation group. Again, it's with your permission. Like on these big tournaments with red snapper, NOAA is asking information about that, and the tournament actually provides it through them. A lot of we do a lot of tagging information. You have to opt into that. We will never send somebody your GPS without your permission. So all of that is kept internal.
That's awesome. Like Ryan said, we're kind of getting up against it. We don't want to keep you too long. The interview's kind of flown by, I feel like. Don't you think, Ryan?
I knew we'd have a lot to cover on this, and there's a lot of features, there's a lot of questions, a lot of concern as to what people are looking at. But overall, I think you got a good platform, and I'm glad to hear that you've checked the boxes of what is needed. What do we need to run these tournaments?
Yeah, I appreciate that. And like I said, we're always listening. Maybe not always following every single social media post, but but definitely if there's a feature that you guys are looking at and you're like, man, I wish we could do this, more than likely we can. It's just, something that I'm not going to be understanding until people tell us. I mean, that's what it is. Let's figure out what needs to happen and then we'll make it happen. Absolutely.
Like, you get Uber to pick me up the night before and take me to the ramp. Can you
Absolutely.
integrate that? That'd be awesome.
Sure. Uber's got an open API.
Yeah, Uber River shuttles. I like that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We can actually turn your lights on.
I appreciate everybody that's concerned. Yeah. We've had a lot of comments. People are concerned for my health. We did have a long weekend. Happy birthday to Jackson Orr. Had a big party for him Saturday night. I slept 12 hours. I had 9 conference calls. I'm now 3 hours from my house. So it's been a heck of a day.
Yeah, hang in there, Ryan. Hang in there. I know it's been a good weekend.
Man. I'm hanging.
Yeah, awesome interview. Thanks for everyone that jumped in. I know we started early, but we still had a huge audience tonight and had a lot of interaction. So, did you see Jake's last comment? Can you find a way to develop a way to find Shane's keys?
Yeah, our buddy loses his keys all the time. So if you can put a Find My Key app on there, would be great.
Yes, we have an inventory control system.
Yeah. But
yes,
good
that's
stuff.
the answer. That's the answer. Yes. All right.
Yeah. Good stuff, man.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on, John, and putting up with us.
My pleasure. It was Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A. That's right, man. Hey, and one more shout out. Western Sun. Glad to be partners with you. We'll get some more stuff out about that coming in the future. But with that, John, maybe next year or as the thing develops in 21, we can have you back. Great interview, man.
That'd be great. Appreciate it, guys.
All right. Ryan,
Thank
next
you.
Monday.
See you guys.
See you later, guys.
I'm good. Thanks, DJ.